Not a cartel, a corporation. $31.2 billion, 23 states, 7 countries. And FBI and DEA just seized a $9.4 million Manhattan penthouse. 614 arrested, $31 billion, 614 arrests, 47 minutes. One coordinated takedown across 14 cities, yet the largest drug bust in U.S. Department of Justice history.
This is the largest coordinated drug trafficking takedown in the history of the United States Department of Justice. What we dismantled today was not a cartel. It was a corporation. Those words, spoken by the Attorney General at a packed federal press conference, land like a verdict. And once you understand what federal agents actually found inside a 32nd floor Manhattan penthouse, you'll understand why even seasoned prosecutors went quiet. It is 4:22 in the morning on a Tuesday. The streets of Midtown Manhattan are not empty. They are never truly empty, but they are quiet enough that the sound of footsteps on wet pavement carries further than usual. 47 federal agents from 3 separate agencies move in synchronized formation along East 57th Street. No sirens, no flashing lights, no shouted warnings. This is not that kind of operation. They carry portable signal jammers, thermal imaging units, and federal warrants sealed for 18 months. A K-9 unit trained specifically for chemical trace detection moves at the front. The target is a $9.4 million penthouse registered to a shell company called Norwood Meridian Holdings, LLC, a company that, on paper, manufactures artisanal candles. What was inside that building had nothing to do with candles. Before we go deeper into what agents found on that 32nd floor, subscribe to this channel right now. Because this story involves layers of criminal architecture that most people will never hear reported accurately, and we are going to break every single one of them down. 614 individuals, charged across 23 states and 7 countries. A drug network that generated $31.2 billion in verified revenue over 4 years. Not estimated, verified. Traced through 1,847 individual bank accounts, 93 shell corporations, and a cryptocurrency laundering operation that federal forensic accountants described as technically more sophisticated than most legitimate hedge funds. And at the center of it all, a penthouse, a candle company, and a man who had never once appeared in a law enforcement database. This is where the story actually begins. Not in Manhattan. In a post office parking lot in Yonkers, New York, 14 months earlier. A DEA surveillance unit running a routine counter-fentanyl operation notices something small. A courier, later identified as 31-year-old Dominic Farrell, a licensed pharmaceutical delivery driver, makes a stop at a storage facility on Tuckahoe Road at 5:47 in the afternoon. Standard behavior. Except the route he drove to get there doesn't connect logically to any pharmaceutical client in that county. It adds 11 minutes to what should have been a direct delivery. And he parks facing out. Always facing out. A behavioral flag that DEA field analysts flag immediately. Over the following 6 weeks, agents follow Farrell on 23 separate occasions. He never carries large packages. He never meets known associates. He drinks coffee at the same diner every Wednesday morning. He calls his mother on Sundays. On the surface, he is completely unremarkable. What investigators eventually discover is that Farrell has no idea what he is actually transporting. The fentanyl analog, a compound synthesized to evade standard narcotic screening, is pressed into the lining of sealed medical supply boxes he picks up from a licensed distribution warehouse in the Bronx. His employment records are legitimate. His background check is clean. He is one of 214 unwitting couriers embedded inside the network. That discovery, that the network had deliberately built a firewall of innocent people around its logistics chain, is the moment investigators realize the scale of what they are dealing with. What agents found next changed everything. The DEA field office shares the Farrell surveillance data with the FBI's Organized Crime Task Force in New York in late October. Within 72 hours, FBI analysts run the storage facility address through FinCEN and financial intelligence records and surface something buried inside 11 layers of corporate ownership. Tuckahoe Road Storage LLC is a subsidiary of a subsidiary of a subsidiary, ultimately controlled by Norwood Meridian Holdings, the same company that owns the Midtown Penthouse. The same company that, according to its own tax filings, operates exclusively in scented wax products. Make sure you are subscribed before we go further, because what comes next reveals how deep this network actually goes and why it stayed hidden from law enforcement for nearly 4 years. Agents spend the next 8 months building what federal prosecutors later call the most thoroughly documented criminal enterprise file in DEA history. It runs to 847,000 pages. The network, internally referred to in intercepted communications only as the exchange, operates across three distinct tiers. The first tier is production. Methamphetamine and fentanyl analogs manufactured at 6 clandestine laboratory sites, 2 in the Bronx, 1 in Newark, 1 in Philadelphia, and 2 in northern New Jersey. Each lab is embedded inside a legitimate industrial business. A dry cleaning facility on Southern Boulevard produces 34 kilograms of processed methamphetamine per week. A refrigeration repair warehouse in Newark synthesizes a fentanyl variant engineered specifically to return negative results on standard immunoassay drug tests used at most U.S. entry ports. The compound is called FL 4729 in DEA classification. It is 87 times more potent than pharmaceutical-grade morphine. Enough of what was recovered at the Bronx lab alone could cause 4.3 million fatal overdoses. The second tier is distribution. 214 unwitting couriers, 38 knowing mid-level distributors operating out of licensed businesses, including 3 pharmacies, 2 medical supply companies, and a chain of car washes across Queens and the Bronx. Payments are processed through a proprietary encrypted payment application built by a software developer in Bucharest, Romania, identified in the indictment as co-conspirator number 412. The app mimics a legitimate freight tracking platform. It has a 3-star rating on an app store. It has 6,000 downloads. Fewer than 90 of those users are connected to the network. The third tier is financial. This is where the operation reveals its true sophistication. The exchange doesn't launder money through traditional bulk cash smuggling. It uses a technique federal forensic accountants identify as invoice layering at institutional scale. Revenue from drug sales is funneled into 93 shell corporations across New York, Delaware, Nevada, Wyoming, and 5 foreign jurisdictions, including the United Arab Emirates and Seychelles. Those corporations generate false invoices for legitimate-seeming services, consulting, logistics, pharmaceutical research. The invoices are approved by AI-generated compliance documentation that passes automated banking review. The money moves through these layers in intervals of $78,000 or less, specifically calibrated to stay below federal reporting thresholds across multiple banks simultaneously. By the time it reaches the top of the structure, $31.2 billion has been laundered into what appears on paper to be clean commercial income. The Penthouse is where the clean money lives. At 4:22 a.m., agents reach the 32nd floor. A tactical entry team from the FBI's hostage rescue unit makes the breach in 11 seconds. The door is reinforced, 3-inch steel core, magnetic lock, secondary deadbolt, but the entry team has a classified bypass device. No flashbangs. No shouting. The thermal scan conducted from the floor below shows 2 heat signatures in the main living area and 1 in the eastern bedroom. The man in the eastern bedroom is 51-year-old Alexander Van, a name that appears nowhere in any prior law enforcement file. No arrests, no traffic violations, no FISA intercepts, no Interpol flags. His name surfaces for the first time in this investigation 14 months earlier in a single intercepted message, a 3-word phrase embedded in an otherwise routine supply logistics email. Confirm with Van. That is all. Agents find him seated at a desk. Not asleep, seated, with 3 monitors running, and a glass of water. The real shock isn't the man. It is what is in the room. 2 fireproof floor safes containing $14.7 million in U.S. currency, $3.2 million in gold sovereign coins, and 47 preloaded cryptocurrency hardware wallets later assessed to hold $812 million in combined digital assets. A server rack running custom encryption software that federal cyber forensics agents spend 9 days partially decrypting. Physical ledgers, handwritten, in a cipher system that takes analysts 6 weeks to break, containing what appears to be the complete operational record of the exchange dating back to 2020. A diplomatic passport for a country Van has no legal citizenship in. And beneath a false panel in the kitchen floor, 68 kilograms of the FL 4729 compound stored in climate-controlled, sealed containers. Simultaneously, at that same moment, for 22 a.m. Eastern, coordinated raids execute across 14 cities: Atlanta, Chicago, Miami, Houston, Los Angeles, Phoenix, Detroit, Philadelphia, Newark, Baltimore, Denver, Portland, and 2 international operations in Tijuana and Amsterdam executed in coordination with the DEA's foreign deployed personnel and Dutch National Police. 614 arrests across 23 states and 7 countries happen inside a 47-minute window. Not a single target escapes. Inside the raid on a Queens car wash at 4:31 a.m., agents locate 218 kilograms of processed methamphetamine sealed inside automotive polish drums. In a false wall behind the employee break room, they find 11 encrypted burner phones, $2.3 million in cash, and a handwritten list of 31 names, each one tied to a specific financial routing pathway inside the shell company network. At the dry cleaning facility on Southern Boulevard, agents in full hazmat equipment find an active production line. Still running at 4:22 in the morning. 3 workers are present. None of them are arrested. All 3 pass polygraph review within 48 hours, confirming they had no knowledge of what the machinery they operated was actually producing. Here is where this story becomes about more than 614 arrests. There is a woman named Sandra Okafor who lives 4 blocks from the Bronx dry cleaning facility. Her 17-year-old son Malik died of a fentanyl overdose in March of the previous year. The toxicology report identified the compound as FL 4729, the same compound synthesized in the building 4 blocks from her home. Sandra has testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee twice in the 18 months since Malik's death. She has no idea on the morning of the raids what is happening. She finds out the way most people find out, through a news alert on her phone at 6:14 a.m. She later says, "I drove past that dry cleaner twice a week for 6 years. I had no reason to look twice at it." That's the whole point, isn't it? That's how they wanted it. That is exactly how they wanted it. The total seizure inventory from Operation Iron Meridian, the official codename, confirmed by DOJ, includes 614 federal arrests across 23 states and 7 countries for $112 million in physical U.S. currency, $812 million in cryptocurrency assets, 341 kilograms of fentanyl analogs, 487 kilograms of processed methamphetamine, 93 shell corporations dissolved, 1,847 bank accounts frozen, 6 clandestine laboratory sites dismantled, and 1 penthouse. Alexander Venn is arraigned in the Southern District of New York 14 hours after his arrest. He enters no plea. His attorney requests a continuance. Federal prosecutors file a 1,247-page indictment that afternoon. In the days following, Treasury's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network issues a systemic advisory to all U.S. federally insured financial institutions, the first such advisory in 3 years, warning that AI-assisted invoice layering has now become the dominant money laundering mechanism in domestic drug trafficking. Not a prediction, a current operational reality. FinCEN identifies 23 additional financial institutions that processed exchange-linked transactions without triggering internal compliance flags. This is not just about one network operating out of one penthouse. This is about a fundamental vulnerability in the architecture of legitimate commerce. Shell corporations are legal. Invoice generation is legal. Cryptocurrency wallets are legal. The exchange didn't exploit the black market. It exploited the white one. It moved through the compliance systems of the American financial sector the way water moves through concrete, finding every microcrack, every automated gap, every threshold designed to stop human criminals that had never accounted for industrial-scale algorithmic exploitation. 614 people are charged. Every prosecution matters. But the prosecutors who built this case know, and they have said publicly, that the organizational blueprint survived the arrests. The software developer in Bucharest is in custody, but the source code for the payment application has already been duplicated and distributed. The cipher system in Venn's handwritten ledgers has been partially decoded, but 31% of its entries remain unreadable. And of the 93 shell corporations dissolved, federal investigators have identified what appears to be the early-stage formation of at least 14 successor entities in jurisdictions outside U.S. oversight. The exchange may be dismantled, but the architecture that built it is still available to anyone sophisticated enough to replicate it. If this could happen for 4 years inside the most surveilled financial city in the world, operating through a candle company, moving $31.2 billion through automated compliance systems, the question law enforcement is now asking out loud is not where else it happened, is where it is happening right now. If this story stayed with you, hit like and subscribe so these investigations keep reaching the people who need to hear them. Real federal operations, documented facts, no noise. That is what this channel is built for. Tell us in the comments what time it is where you're watching, and tell us which part of the story you think the mainstream coverage missed entirely. Because the gap between what gets reported and what actually happened inside that penthouse is exactly the kind of gap this channel exists to close.